Okay. I just want to be sure that we are recording. Okay, good morning, everyone. Today we're just on week 10 of our program. Louise, you want to just take off your video? Louise, okay, let me. Okay. Today we are on our week 10 of our program, and today we're going to just deal with the customer development for MVP. As we know, we've been working on developing the MVP, and the plan today is to take a deep dive into two aspects of customer development, which is customer discovery and customer validation. As you know, this is our 20-week program from phase 1 to 5, and we have completed phase 1 and 2, which was us achieving problem solution fit. And we went to a point of building our minimum viable product. But this phase, this is where we are now on validation. This is a tough one, and it's going to take us about 8 weeks. And we trust that we're going to, by the end of this 8-week period, we're going to be knowing where we are. Okay. Just the agenda for today, we're just going to get to understand what is customer development, okay? And then we'll touch on the two phases of customer development, which is customer discovery and customer validation. These two phases will take us back to the first phase of problem solution fit, which is the customer discovery and validation, and just to see how the two link up together, okay? Now let's get back. Let's get down to customer development and what is the objective of customer development? What is the goal? It's basically to understand the customer problem and their underserved needs, and also to develop a scalable and repeatable sales model, and to create end user demand and build a company. Okay, it's a hypothesis-driven approach, among other things, to answer 5 questions. Who are your customers? Within the customers, we spoke about target marketing and saying, yes, you can target your market. It could be the millennials, but how do you segment that market to say, you can't target all millennials in South Africa. You probably have to target millennials in Gauteng, which are closest to you. Or you can even segment it further and say Gauteng millennials with smartphones. Okay. The next question is what? What are their problems and what are their underserved needs? That is where we want to position our product. And then the next question that we have to answer is how are they currently dealing with these challenges at the moment? What are the pain points that they are? If you remember the lean canvas, we're going to go back to it. We've got to deal with how are they dealing with it now? Whether it's a bridge inspection, how are they inspecting that bridge currently, and how you can improve with your drone. Excuse me. The 4th question is which solution will yield the best results? You know, you might be coming up with a drone solution, but is this the best solution that the customer would have? And lastly, you want to get to say, how can I provide a solution in the most profitable way? Remember, we are businesses, we're not nonprofits. We want to provide a solution in the most profitable way. There's no point in us pursuing a solution that is not beneficial to us. Okay, the 4-step approach to customer development. Firstly, it's customer discovery. Then you move to the validation of that customer with your MVP. And then you move to customer creation, and lastly, building a company. However, for today and during this 8-week phase, we're going to be dealing with customer discovery, particularly customer validation, and how those two join together. Now let's go to customer discovery. This is taking us back to our first phase where we were hoping to achieve problem solution fit. Okay, customer discovery. What is it all about? It's about testing the hypothesis about your target market, the problem, and your solution. It's about turning hypothesis into facts. And it's also about getting a better insight into your customers. And lastly, about charting the course to achieving problem solution fit. We've said that most of the solutions out there, the problem with it is that people have fallen in love with their solutions, and it's solutions, we call them SISPs, solutions in search of a problem. But you want to be, you want your solution to be problem-based, to be customer-based. Okay, you remember the lean canvas, how it fits all together? Remember, we started here, we said the customer segment, you've got to be able to know who your customer, your target market is. And within your customer segment, it's a subset of your customer, of your target market. And then from customer segment, you got to say, who are your early adopters? You actually have to name them. I know, Lufuna, you've named your early adopters as JMPD. These are the people, even within JMPD, you got to actually name specific people, individuals, who are your early adopters and the innovators. And then from here, you got to jump here and say, okay, for these customer segments, what are their problems? You got to mention their number 1, number 2, number 3 problem. Remember, we want to prioritize this problem. We have a criteria, 6 criteria of a good problem, whether the problem is popular, growing, costly, urgent. Yeah, there are those problems that you want to target. Again, you got to say, yes, the customer's got these problems, but what are the existing alternatives right now? Because if you don't understand the existing alternative, whatever solution that you're going to come up with is not going to address the problem. So you got to be able, your solution must be an improvement on this. How do you improve on this? You take the pain away. You got to probably make it, your solution must cost less than the existing solution, even if it doesn't cost less. But if it's bringing more efficiencies to the customer's number 1 problem, that is most important. Then from here, you move to your unique value proposition. We'll get back to this at a later stage. Let's move on. What customer discovery entails? Firstly, you got to state the hypothesis. Remember, we go out there into the marketplace because we don't understand the customer. We're saying, at the moment, we started off with a hypothesis. What was the hypothesis all about? The hypothesis were all about, it was about the target market hypothesis. You got to create a hypothesis and say, I've got this solution and I believe that that's my target market. Okay, within that target market, you got to be able to have a market segment that you're targeting. And then you got to develop a hypothesis. You got to test now the hypothesis about the problem. Remember the hypotheses in plural that you put here, they are about the target market, about the problem, and then also about your solution. So you got to test these. Now, testing these, you cannot test this. It's not a desktop exercise. You got to get in front of the customer. And then lastly, you got to achieve problem solution fit and say, yes, my solution fits the problem in the most profitable way. If your hypothesis was wrong, you got to pivot. You got to come back here. And this is why we talk of this as the lean canvas. So you got to do this. That's why from moving from here to here, you got to move as quickly as possible and with least amount of cost. Okay, let's get to customer validation. Customer validation, what does it seek to accomplish? Okay. Basically, again, like we've said before, you want to turn hypotheses into facts. You want to attempt to sell at every stage. The only way you can basically validate your MVP is basically to test the selling. And if people love your product, if they love it enough that they are able to pay for it, that is the biggest test. So it doesn't make sense for someone who says, oh, I love this solution. But if they're not going to buy it, then you are not reaching product market fit. You've got to test whether there is enough that is, you've got to test whether your product is strong enough to achieve product market fit to justify scaling the sale. Remember, you're not going to justify scaling up the sale. You're not going to appoint a team of salespeople before you achieve product market fit. And then lastly, you got to get early adopters to buy it first. These are very, very important. We're going to get into these people next. Okay, how do you get ready to sell? Next, which is the first step of customer validation, you got to articulate your value proposition. We spoke about dealing with a unique value proposition, which is your brand promises, your product promise. And next, you got to develop your distribution channel and sales material. You got to know how you reach out to your customers. And the best way to reach out to your customers, this is very, very important for the customer validation. And thirdly, you got to develop this whole sales roadmap. We'll deal with this one in the later sessions. Now let's look at your product life cycle. Every product goes through this product life cycle. Smartphones in the early 2000s were probably around here when people started using Blackberries, and then we had innovators using these phones, and then there was early majority. The early majority, these are the guys who started using BlackBerry, very, very popular with business and email. And then Steve Jobs disrupted everything. And then we had the early majority moving into smartphones, and the late majority now, even the late laggards, the people who basically will, who probably just experience smartphones in the past year, they are sitting here. With smartphones, this product is basically reached, it's still growing, but it has reached this area. So with your product, you are basically looking at firstly your innovators and your early adopters. However, you're not going to be building a business out of early adopters because they constitute about 13.5% of your total market. So why do you want to target early adopters? Because they are actively looking for a solution. Okay, they are the ones who are feeling the pain. They are actively looking for a solution. They are more receptive to new technologies. Okay, we've seen some of those people within your customer base, and they are less risk averse. These are the guys who want to take the risk and test this new solution. They are your doorway to your early majority. Remember, you want to get here, your early majority and late majority. This is where you get market leadership, okay? However, these are the people that will help you get here because these guys are not going to listen to you. These are the guys who don't believe anything new. But these guys, if they're in the same organizations as early adopters, they're going to listen to these guys. These guys will be raving about the solution. And then this will feed on to these guys, and then the late majority will join at a later stage. Okay. How do you position your product? You got to state the product vision. What is your vision for your product? Again, it's based on the number one problem of your customer. What is your vision for the solution for your customer? Then you got to move to product unique selling proposition. What is your unique value proposition? This is where your product has to stand out. You got to highlight the differentiators. You got to be sure how different your solution is to the current solutions that the customer has. And not only from the current solution, but how different are you from the competition? You got to craft your brand message. Again, your brand is basically a promise. You got to know your competition, know who else is providing the same solution as you. You position yourself against the current solutions. Excuse me. Okay, here are some of the examples of positioning statements. Some of these positioning statements, McDonald's says they're looking for it's for individuals looking for a quick service restaurant with an exceptional customer experience. That is their positioning statement. Apple is for individuals who want the best personal computer or mobile device. Apple leads the technology industry with the most innovative product. Okay, I know some of you guys, you like your Dell machines, but this is about Apple. What about Nike? Nike is for athletes in need of high quality, fashionable athletic wear. Nike provides customers with top performing sports brands and shoes made of the highest quality material. These are examples of positioning statement. You are positioning your product in the marketplace. If people are looking at your product, what do they see? This is, you have control over this. You are the one who must position your product. Okay, step 4, you now have to verify. This is the verification that we dealt with last week. You verify if, and then you persevere. Again, you got to pivot if your assumptions were wrong. Firstly, you got to test, you validate your product, the channel, the business model, and the sales roadmap. If you are on the right track, you persevere. If validation checks out, press on. However, if not, it's back to hypothesis and customer discovery. You gotta be able to go back. I know some of you guys have been pivoting in the past week or two. You now have to actually go back and do proper customer discovery. But now that you know about it, it shouldn't take you 4 weeks. You should be able to do it within a week or 2. Yes, I know we are all under lockdown, but guess what? Your customers are also under lockdown. It's easy to get them than before. This is what we dealt with. These are the 2 complementary methods of customer validation. You validate qualitatively and you verify quantitatively. In research, this is basically when you sit down with a customer, you basically you get to them with unstructured, semi-structured questionnaire whereby you get to deal with quantitative issues, but also deal with qualitative issues. We dealt with this, and the nice thing about this is that it is measuring results, whether your acquisitions are moving right to revenue and referral. Okay. In the final analysis, and to paraphrase Steve Blank, I'm sure you guys have read his book, The Key to Product Market Fit Lies Out There in the Marketplace. You'll hear Steve Blank speaks about get out of the building. Okay, let's listen to his video.
So one of the really interesting developments about this class
Sorry.
So one of the really interesting developments about this class is this whole customer development process. It says you start with your business model canvas hypotheses. And in fact, what you really do is you blow up the canvas and you actually post it to the wall. And you use yellow stickies, no pens or pencils allowed, because you are going to get most of them wrong. But you're going to make it visible and you will actually begin to construct your hypotheses. And the next thing you'll do is look at them and go, hey, there aren't any facts in this room. Let's get out of the building and talk to customers and partners and vendors, and we'll learn how to do this with some rigor, with a process, not just randomly getting out, but actually design experiments, run tests, get data, and more importantly, get some insight. And the customer development process is kind of interesting. The customer development process is actually a 4-step process. The first step is customer discovery. This is where you construct your hypotheses and you get out of the building and start testing your assumption about whether other people have the same problem or need you think they have. And then you're going to do customer validation and actually see if your proposed solution actually matches what you think the customer problem was. And this test of between problem and solution and your features and customers is actually sometimes called product market fit. That's what you're out testing. And this is what we call the search for the business model. But now instead of randomly doing this by hiring and firing sales execs and trying to make numbers that really are just random guesses, we're actually going to have you get out as early as possible and test some of these primary assumptions. One of the interesting things on the bottom of this diagram that we'll talk about is something called the pivot. And the pivot is what will save your job. Once you find this repeatable and scalable business model, then you go into the execution phase of customer development. And that's about creating end user demand and scale, called customer creation, and then building the organizations to actually build your company for scale by transitioning from customer development into a functional organization that's oriented for constant and rapid execution.
Okay, let's do this. I'm going to pause the recording. Okay. Sorry. Okay, everyone. Let me just admit someone. Donna, can you take your video off? Okay, everyone. Is everyone back?